One blast off. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the inaugural episode of MSP Chat, your weekly visit with two talking heads talking with you about the strategies, success tips, and services you need as an MSP to grow the business and stay ahead of the competition. My name is Rich Freeman. I am the Chief Content Officer of Channel Mastered, your host for this program and the company that's responsible for this fine program. I am joined by your co-host, also from Channel Mastered. He is my friend, my colleague, and our chief strategist at Channel Mastered. His name is Erick Simpson. Erick, welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show yourself, Rich. We are back, baby. I'm so excited to be able to put on this great podcast with you, my colleague, friend, business partner. It's just exciting to be back and to deliver the content that we feel our audience is interested in. Throw a few tips out there, have a little bit of a humor, and have some really great interviews with some amazing guests. So I can't wait to get into today's inaugural episode with you, Rich.
Totally agree, folks. You're going to learn a few things, have a little fun along the way if we're doing our job right. So thanks for tuning in. Let's jump straight in, Erick, to our story of the week. And guess what? Surprise, surprise, people. It has to do with AI. Specifically, some very interesting and rather sizable projections for the size of the generative AI market for service providers. We'll get to that in a second. Hat tip to our mutual friend, Erick, Dave Sobel of the Business of Tech podcast. He pointed me to some research I otherwise don't think I would have seen. It's from Constant Contact. And they recently went out to a whole bunch of small businesses and asked them, are you using AI, generative AI? Are you getting results? Of the businesses, the small businesses that are using AI, 91% of them say it has made their business more successful. Of the entire sample, all the businesses, including the ones not yet using AI, over a quarter expect AI and automation to save them at least $5,000 over the first 12 months that they're using it. But, and here's the key thing, 74% of the surveyed small businesses are interested in using AI or automation in their business. 55% say their interest has grown in the last 6 months. Not a terribly big surprise there, but 46% say they have only a beginner's understanding about the benefits of these technologies. Erick, that screams services opportunity, obviously. They need someone like, say, an MSP to help them understand what this AI stuff is about and how they can put it to work. And how big an opportunity is there if you go ahead and be that IT provider? Well, here's some data from this week from Canalys, the analyst organization there. They are predicting that generative AI, and mind you, this is just generative AI. AI is a much bigger field, right? Generative AI alone will be a $158.6 billion opportunity for the channel ecosystem by 2028. Now, the word ecosystem in there is important because the research covers, MSPs and system integrators and VARs, as well as software makers and developers. So this is for anyone who is creating software or helping other people use it. But the number one, they stack ranked the revenue opportunities in that $158+ billion opportunity. And the number one opportunity on the list is AI services. And this is the strategic guidance, what you need to do, how to use it, how to apply it to growing the bottom line. Number four on this top four list is reselling, co-selling, and upselling AI products from software developers, who account for the number two and number three opportunities on the list. So even if you're not providing strategic guidance, you have an opportunity to make money in AI. So what are they suggesting that you do, basically, Canalys, to get yourself ready? Well, they have a four-part list here. They said, start out by kind of deciding where you're going to play in that generative AI ecosystem. Are you going to be the strategic advisor, reseller, et cetera? Start accumulating expertise, obviously. You need to study up before you're ready to talk with this stuff about customers. And that means you're going to want to partner up with somebody who can help you with that. Now, I'm guessing for a lot of the folks in our audience, the logical candidate is Microsoft. They are a leader in generative AI through their relationship with OpenAI, and I'm guessing everybody here is doing business with them anyway. Could be Google, could be somebody else, but find somebody who knows more about this than you do, who you partner with, draw on their resources and expertise to get the certifications and the skills you need, then go to market. What do you think, Eric? Sounds like a pretty big opportunity.
It's a huge opportunity, Rich. And, as I'm listening to those statistics, I'm reminded of, the before the electrical grid, right? Before the electrical grid was in place, and we're talking, 100 plus years ago, right? The electric grid, folks had, the story is the company that would bring you a block of ice to put in your, ice box, right? It was like delivering milk every day. They'd bring a block of ice, they'd haul it up, they'd put it in your ice box, and there was no electricity. That's how people kept stuff cold. And when the electric grid started to be a thing, like we're going to light up, right, everyone's homes, there'll be light and electricity, and there'll be refrigerators and things like that. These folks that were delivering the ice to the ice box were threatened because they thought they would be out of a job. The companies would be like, oh my goodness, our whole business model is topsy-turvy. Well, what they didn't realize was by deploying the electrical grid, it spurred such innovation. It created industries, it created companies, it created all the things that plug into your electrical socket. That's what the electrical grid produced. It tremendously accelerated the growth of entrepreneurism and businesses and, services. And this is what this reminds me of. We have a lot of this, FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt about AI. Like, oh, people are going to lose their jobs. We're going to be out of work. It's going to replace, this segment of workers. And I heard a really smart person say a few months ago, the only people that are going to lose their jobs to AI are the folks that aren't getting in on the AI opportunity, right? So skill up, get those, tune yourself up, and then help others, help as MSPs, helping clients navigate this and really understand the value proposition and pivot. Your MSPs, you've seen lots of products and services come and go. Some stay and some don't, but we're talking about managed IT services. Holy cow, what a revolution that was, right, Rich? We're talking about cloud. What a revolution. People had the same FUD about cloud. I remember very clearly being at a Microsoft Worldwide Partner Conference when they announced what they were doing and the partners lost their minds. Oh my goodness, you're going to sell this and sell it directly. And yes, but you have to pivot. The world changes. Take advantage of these opportunities. AI is such a huge opportunity backed by the data that you just shared with us, Rich. And, it's one of those things where it's different than anything we've ever seen. The early adopters will be the most successful. I'm already seeing this industry taking off. There are tons and tons of online training courses. There are consultants, there are coaches that will teach you how to leverage AI in your business. And guess what? Not a lot of them are MSPs yet.
Yeah, a few really important points there, Eric. And, the people, the only people in IT who really need to be afraid of generative AI are the ones who don't adapt to it, obviously. If you stubbornly insist on staying in the ice delivery business, this is going to be bad news for you. If you do adapt and figure out how to profit from this technology, it's going to be a huge source of revenue for you. And I agree very much with what you said, that there is a first mover advantage here. I think a lot of MSPs are probably in the same boat as those small businesses Constant Contact talked about, trying to figure out, how do I put this to work exactly? And the time to start fixing that issue and coming up with answers to that question is now. And by the way, something else that Canales points out is you, as an MSP, you can put generative AI to work in your business, running your business more efficiently and more profitably. And that right there is a great way to get started and begin to see how this stuff works in action. Put it to work for yourself. You can show off for your clients when you're ready to meet with them. Here's what we're doing. Isn't this amazing? So get started now. Talk to the people who know more about it than you do, and you're going to be good. Now, speaking of being good, Erick, it's time for your tip of the week, and I believe this has to do with AI as well.
That's right, Rich. We're going to stick with the theme of today's show, and it's all about AI. So how to leverage AI and minimize the risk. So we've just heard, everybody, how much of an opportunity there is and how we need to pivot to continue to grow in our own businesses and to add value to our clients' businesses, being much more strategic. And so I just want to share a couple of ways that we're using AI and then share some ideas for you and your MSP practice. Right now, we're leveraging generative AI for sure in some of the Adobe products that we are using to manipulate images and things like that. And we expect generative AI to grow across image editing software, just like it's growing across other platforms. Our vendors are integrating AI into their software stacks, into their solutions. MSPs should be looking at ways not only to help improve efficiency by leveraging either AI itself to integrate and simplify processes, but also looking at other platforms and other strategic vendors that are leveraging this technology to help us reduce our costly labor burden costs. And so how can we do more with less? How can we leverage AI to simplify our service delivery? Another way that we're using AI is in our sales process. So we are taking sales copy, sales ideas, websites, and we're running them through AI platforms to try to improve. And we're using them in several different AI platforms. We're using ChatGPT, which is OpenAI. We use Copy.ai as well. We're also leveraging in Microsoft's Edge the Bing AI because it does crawl websites. So and sometimes we'll use the same prompt, Rich, in all these different platforms, and they'll each come up with a little bit different perspective. And then what's nice about AI is you can tweak the prompt and say, hey, rewrite this from this perspective, or rewrite this and add this, and continue to work that. I remember how long it took me in another lifetime to write content and copy, and the majority of it wasn't the time it took to write it. And you can speak to this, Rich. It was the time to do the research and just try to find sources of data and opinions and things like that. With AI, we're crawling the internet with some of these AI platforms and bringing that stuff back. And then, like I said, because we're using multiple platforms, we're picking and choosing what we think is valuable, and then we're adding the part that AI can't provide. It's the human perspective and humanizing that content, and not leveraging it as just a way to produce content and copy and then just roll with it, right? The danger here is you begin to lose your voice and your brand moving forward. So leveraging that and then evaluating how you would then rewrite what AI is doing. And that saves a lot of time as well. And then, of course, we're also leveraging it tremendously in our marketing activities. You know, we're posting, social media posts, and we're grabbing data from different places, and we're putting it through AI, and we're saying, hey, review this article or this post, give me, 3 bullet points and summarize it for me, and then focus it in this manner. And what's cool about AI, Rich, is you can tell it how to behave at the very beginning. You can create a brand voice for yourself. You can create a persona. You can have multiple personas. I am a marketing expert, and I'm looking to achieve this. And now you've built out that persona that reflects that. Or you can have a company brand voice and say, write it in the brand voice of my company. And you've typed into AI what your mission, vision, and values are, what your value proposition is, services that you deliver. And then you can also point it to things that you've written. Like I'll send it out to crawl the blog posts that I've written, and then it will help generate that brand voice and write. It's not going to write just like me or you, Rich. I mean, come on now, right? But it'll kind of get us, maybe if it does 20% of the work, then it takes less editing and less tweaking for us to actually deliver the message that we want to deliver. And again, saving us a ton of research and comparing different things from the old manual way we used to do things.
So a few thoughts on that. Great stuff. So first of all, you mentioned tools like ChatGPT and Copy AI, which we're using very successfully at Channel Mastered. But and this won't be news to most folks in our audience, but AI is showing up everywhere. Basically, I do just a little bit of work in WordPress for the Channel Mastered website, and quite recently, the ability to just generate content through AI has been added to that tool. Right now. So you're going to find AI capabilities in a lot of the different systems that you use. Look for that, experiment with that, find ways that actually make sense for you to accelerate processes and help you get more stuff done more quickly. In particular, the RMM tools are beginning to incorporate some AI functionality. We're going to see more and more of this happen. That process, I think, will be a little bit slower than with some of the tools we talked about, because you've got to be really careful when you're putting AI in contact with anything that is in turn in contact with the end user environment. But for scripting purposes, ConnectWise RMM tools have had that built in for months at this point. Can save you a ton of time. You should be looking at that. And then the other thing I want to reinforce, Eric, and this kind of goes back to what we were talking about in connection with the story of the week, is thinking about, as you're learning how to use these AI tools in your business, so that, as I was saying before, among many other things, you can kind of show some of this to your customers as examples of ways these technologies can be put to work. Think about where your unique value add is. You were talking about that human element that comes on top of what the AI can do. I mean, in my field, I could theoretically use copy.ai to just do my writing for me, but the writing would sound like it came from AI, and the depth and the originality of the content would sound like something that AI produced. My value add is my voice, which AI can recreate up to a point, but also what I know about the channel, about the industry. So that's what I have to kind of focus on to make sure I don't get driven out of business by AI in the years going forward. You, as an MSP, have to be thinking about all the work that you do today that could potentially be automated at some point within the next 2, 3, 4 years. Where is your unique value add? And if some of that, for example, is in helping businesses forge and implement AI strategies, that's not going to be something that ChatGPT can do for you anytime soon. That's going to require some expertise only you have. So be looking for that while you're looking for ways to put AI to work.
Right. And just a couple of, thoughts to tag on. I mean, if you rely completely on AI to do your writing, which we are not recommending, we're recommending the opposite. It is a tool, right, to help save you time and to give you the data quickly and to give you options and different directions where you can put that stuff together. But if you happen to leverage AI too much, let's say, for instance, it's going to hurt you in terms of SEO on the internet. So if you're writing blog posts and things like that, and you think, oh boy, I'm just going to set up, these prompts and I'm going to run them and I'm going to scan these websites and it'll just generate it for me, and you start posting that, the search engines will begin to penalize you because they can identify what AI writes like and sounds like. Now, they're trying to, overcome this. The AI is trying to get even smarter, right, to pass the Turing test, Rich. But right now, we don't typically recommend that. The other point that comes to mind is, again, getting past this fear, uncertainty, and doubt. We've got a real problem in our industry right now in terms of the tech shortage, right? It's tough for us to find and hire good quality technicians and engineers. And in some cases, Rich, it's hard for us to hold on to our existing technicians and engineers because they're getting, poached and getting offers from somewhere else. And we've talked about this on other shows previously, Rich, where sometimes it's not the money that finally gets a really good technician or engineer to leave. Sometimes it's just the sprawl of applications and platforms that we're asking them to manage in order to deliver great service to our clients. Sometimes it's the many vendors that we have to deal with and things like that. So again, leveraging AI from the perspective of how do I start minimizing that sprawl? How do I start looking at platforms and services and solutions where AI can actually reduce the cost of labor and allow me to be more profitable, to reward my existing team, to keep them and to keep them happy, and show them that we're moving in a very strategic business growth direction, and then delay the time that it takes to hire new staff, so that we can take care of our existing team. I think that's a huge value proposition. And then as we learn how to do that for our own organizations, then those conversations with existing clients and prospects about how we can help them in transition in this journey. It's the same conversation with a different topic than we have with clients when we're trying to get them to move toward the cloud, or to strengthen their cybersecurity posture, or to stop paying reactively for emergency services and sign a managed IT services agreement, where maintenance is always cheaper than reactive firefighting, right, Rich?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what, Eric? I think that was multiple really strong tips of the week packed in there into one conversation about AI. So fantastic stuff as usual. Thank you very much for that. Eric, when people aren't talking about AI these days, what's the other thing they always want to talk about? Well, security, of course. That's what we're going to talk about next in the next part of the show here, but not with just anybody. We are privileged to be joined by Michelle Ragusa-McBain. She is the Global Channel Chief at SonicWall, and she's going to get into 3 very specific ways the MSPs in our audience can build a successful managed security practice. We're going to talk about that with her coming up right after the break. Stick around. We'll be right back. Right, and welcome back to the MSP Chat Podcast for our Spotlight Interview of the Week. IDC expects global IT and business services spending to go up 5.2% this year. They're looking for spending on security services worldwide to go up by 11%, more than twice as much. There is no hotter corner in security right now than managed security. But what are the secrets? What are the keys to building and running a successful managed security practice? Here to share 3 specific actionable ideas on that topic with us is somebody who knows a ton about managed services and security. She is Michelle Ragusa-McBain, the Vice President of North American Channels at SonicWall, and we are really pleased to have her with us. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Rich. Eric, I'm so happy to be with you all today. And it's very exciting times and very exciting topic.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before we dive in, tell folks a little bit about yourself and about this role of yours at SonicWall. I stumbled over the title because you've only been there a little while.
Yes, no, it's true. And depending on when this launches, we might have some more exciting news for you as well. So I've been in the technology channel for 18 years. And I've been in various roles in companies, including Cisco, Office Depot during the CompuCom acquisition. I was a consultant with JS Group, working with various vendors and partners and distributors. And now I am very delighted to be at SonicWall, leading their channel strategy with amazing partners around the world. So we have great opportunities, a great company. And I like to say there's never been a better time to be a SonicWall partner. And it's not just because of me. I'm happy to be a part of it.
Well, congratulations on all that success, Michelle. We're just so glad and happy to have you on our podcast today. As Rich mentioned, we're going to talk about 3 managed security success tips and get your feedback on those. So I'm going to start with the first one. So let's talk a little bit about the value of focusing on a specific targeted market for managed security, knowing your niche and what the value is, the benefits, compared to just kind of a shotgun approach selling to everyone. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, that's a great conversation. This is coming off of the heels of, I was just in the IT Nation Pitch It competition, and I talked a little bit about this with some of the people there. So I've been a vendor most of my life in various ways. Engineering is how I started my career, sales, operations, marketing channels. And the one thing that remains true to everybody, whether in sales or marketing or engineering, you have to know who your persona, your targeting is. You have to know what your company's why is, and you have to figure out how to marry the two of those things together. And it sounds easy theoretically, but when I was a consultant, I met with a lot of MSPs and I'd say, okay, tell me, what do you sell and who do you sell it to? And they'd say, I sell all the things to all the people in all the world. And you're like, wow, that narrows it down. Let's get a little more laser specific and focused in that, right? And so in order to kind of look at the big picture, you have to say, okay, maybe my sweet spot is in mid-sized clinics in upstate New York, or maybe I'm really good in the education vertical because I really understand this demographic, and we understand their complexities and their pain points and their needs, and we have the right products and the right solution and the right service capability to lean towards what they need and help them, give them peace of mind and reduce their stress and anxiety as they're making decisions, because we're their trusted advisor. You see, I say after COVID, every company is now a technology company, which also leads to the fact that there's many different types of decision makers. And I've seen this evolution from cold calling back in the day and call blitzes and asking people for their IT director or their CIO to now marketing is making technology decisions and sales is making technology decisions, operations is making technology decisions, and the local pizzeria wants technology in their office, and professional service insurance companies need information and protection. And you know, especially in the cybersecurity space with fiduciary responsibilities and banking verticals and HIPAA compliance and medical verticals, there's a lot of complexity and there's a lot of noise and clutter. And if you don't know who you are, it's very hard to differentiate yourself from the competition. So to start with the end in mind, what problems are you solving and for who you're solving them, and who are you best at doing that for? And then you need to really be very prescriptive at looking at the segment size, the industry type, the vertical type, the geographic type. Is it that you can do things, you know, maybe in Florida, say, for example, or Metro New York City, or maybe you're a national company and you're really good at doing that because you have the right coverage and capacity and you can meet those needs, or you have the right partnerships and you could fill gaps. So I think that that's the biggest thing that most companies really need to just level set day one. You know, who do I want to be? What do I want to grow into? And depending on your age or stage, maybe who do I need to like laser focus on? Because if I'm half good at everything, I'm good at nothing. So you're much better off being an expert in something than a jack of all trades sometimes.
So you touched on differentiation there. So now we know who we're selling to, but now let's figure out a little bit or talk a little bit about why they should buy from you. And differentiation, I think, is very much core to your thinking about that. So what advice can you offer the audience about standing out, differentiating themselves in what is, you know, a relatively crowded market for managed security?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Okay, so let's take it back high level. And I'm a vendor in a cybersecurity industry that has 4,300 cybersecurity vendors in it, right? That's a lot of noise. That could be a lot of competition. How do you stand out? That's a great question. Well, sometimes you have the benefit of, like in our case at SonicWall, being a 32-year trusted vendor with best-in-class products, right? That's helps. But say you're new to the game and you haven't really laid out that foundation or roadmap for yourself. How do you differentiate yourself? So as you go through that motion, you have to say a few things. One, what's in it for them? Don't think about yourself. Everybody wants to lead with product, and all things created equal, your products might be fairly similar. You should know the key differentiators and what makes yours that much better than the other person's, and how you integrate better, and how you scale better, and how you can support better, and what your roadmap for the future looks like. So product is very important, but it's not the only thing people buy on. People buy on the ability for you to have simple ways to do business with, for you to really support them and enable them, and also for them to trust you. They want trusted advisor. There's a lot of people coming at them, trying to win their business, trying to win their mind share. So your relationship, that old adage, people buy from people they like, it's really critical. And part of what I just talked about was elevating your brand and elevating your business, because this is not a job for somebody that you hire, but also if you're a business owner, you're the principal of the company, you're an engineer in the company, you're sales, marketing of the company, you reflect the company. Each of you holistically are the brand of the company. And are you portraying your brand in ways that provides insight, expertise, thought leadership? Do you have a blog? Do you post content on LinkedIn? Are you writing articles? Are you doing podcasts? Are you having webinars? Do you have customer testimonials? Is there ways that you're sharing to help? If you looked at your whole partner database right now, you probably have the same customers that have the same problems over and over again in different ways. And if you can be proactive to share how you can help them, how some of these very common problems that happen, you can remedy them before they even become a problem. You're Wayne Gretzky now, you're skating to where the puck is going. So these are the ways that you have to think about your business. It's more than just one piece. It's an integrated kind of three legs of the stool. So what does my product roadmap look like? What is the voids I'm filling? How am I simplifying the complexities that my customers experiencing? But then how am I communicating that? How am I marketing it? How am I branding it? And how am I sharing that so that they can think of me when a thought comes up like, oh, this is a problem. The first person they think of is this person, is this team, is this company. That is a big differentiation. And that's built on the relationship, the rapport, and the brand of the company and the people in it.
Wow, that's a great tip number 2, Michelle. Very, very well positioned. The distinction and differentiation that MSPs, have a harder time struggling with now because there's so many competitors out there. I'd like to ask you about a third tip that is kind of adjacent to the differentiation, and it's not about how we present ourselves and market ourselves specifically, but how we position our services now as we become more mature organizations to attract larger, more strategic clients in terms of selling business outcomes rather than technical or technology outcomes. Can you touch on that?
Yeah, that's a great talking point right there. So I think many traditional partners, got to the value-added reseller motion. I'm going to sell you key strategic products, and then maybe in 2 years, when we're going to have an end of life or a refresh, we're going to put in new products to help you drive your business. And now you have the managed service provider and the managed service security provider saying, we're going to work with you month over month, quarter over quarter, year over year. If you don't hear from me, that's probably a good thing, but you probably want to know why you're paying me and the value that I'm providing, right? And so thinking about that, the outcomes that you're driving, you really need to understand some of the pain points and the layers of security that are so vital, right? We look at cyber attacks. There was a cyber attack every 39 seconds. How many cyber attacks just happened while we were speaking so far? There's a ransomware attack every 14 seconds. We all know it's not if, but when. When will you be attacked by that bad actor, that cyber criminal that's taking advantage of your customers? And how do you keep yourself and your customers safe and protected? What vendor relationships, what partnership, what's in your stack to allow you to cover all of those layers of security, from network to client control to end client to cloud capture, like all of these disparate layers that are so important and pivotal. And sometimes your customers just don't know what they don't know. So as new trends are happening, as new types of crime is happening in the cyber community, it is so important that you are keeping them up and running and safe and protected, and keeping their customers' confidential information secure. I think the statistic is if an SMB customer is attacked in a cyber crime, that 60% of them go out of business. So that's a huge outcome. And so what does it mean for them if you can do these things for them and you can drive a bigger picture? I'm not just selling you a firewall. I'm selling you the outcome of keeping you safe and protected, up and running, keeping your clients safe, making sure that nobody goes out of business on my watch. That is a bigger vision that you're going to have with them. And you have to do that by constantly being ahead of the curve, being in the know of where the landscape is taking you. And so that's why, again, I echo that thought leadership, the people you partner with. I'll think of like CompTIA ISAO as an example. I'll think of all of the great work that many CISOs have done, like Ryan Weeks and Wes Spencer and all these people that have come together for the good of the community, because it wasn't vendor specific. If a cybercrime happens in the technology channel community, it impacts everybody. And so we all have to roll up our sleeves and help each other to make sure we have the right people, the right partnerships, the right programs, the right capabilities to make sure that that doesn't happen. And in order to sell your service and or charge more for your service, or charge the right amount, because sometimes people undervalue what they're worth and they don't realize the importance of finding out that pricing or that packaging. But if you can sell the outcome of what you're doing, there's no intangible amount that you could give to a customer that says, wow, I really want to make sure that I don't have this negative impact. And therefore, what you're doing for me is so invaluable that it's worth every penny. And that's a different place to be at with your customers than I sold them a product.
I love it. Reliably outstanding stuff as usual. Michelle, thank you so much for that. Before we go, for anyone in the audience who wants to reach out to you, learn more about you, or get in touch with SonicWall, where would you point them?
Yeah, so you can email me directly, mragusa, Ragusa, at sonicwall.com. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. I love to connect. And if you're going to be at an upcoming event, there's a few that I'm attending. I'd love to see you there. Coming up soon, CompTIA ChannelCon. I will be there. I'll also be at Taylor Business Group. I'll be at Build It and a few other events that we're working on like DattoCon and IT Nation. So if you're going to be there, I'd love to connect with you. Let's grab a coffee or a cocktail and talk about how we can help drive your success.
So Eric and I are going to hold you to the coffee/cocktail invitation there, because we're going to be at ChannelCon 2 in just a few weeks. And we're looking forward to seeing you there. Until then, Michelle, again, thank you so much for making time and joining us here today. So folks, we are going to take another break, and then we're going to go into the closing segment of the show. So stick around. There's more to come. And welcome back to the final part of this episode of the MSP Chat Podcast. Always a pleasure speaking with Michelle, Erick. What I really loved about that conversation is that even though we're talking with the global channel chief from SonicWall, she's not talking about SonicWall products. This really was business level advice that anyone, regardless of who they partner with, can put to work. And I thought it was three really good practical ideas based on her experience. She obviously has a ton of experience working with MSPs. I thought it was three really good, solid suggestions for how to build and grow that managed security practice.
Yeah, I appreciated her perspective and willingness to kind of go down these discussion paths with us, because at the end of the day, she has a tremendous wealth of experience and expertise in the channel, working with MSPs, as you said, Rich. And what better guest to have on that aligns with kind of the vision of our podcast, right? It's delivering really good information, advice, and guidance to MSPs and IT business owners to help them navigate the sometimes challenging path to growth in our industry.
Absolutely agree. And you can expect more conversations like that in future episodes of MSP Chat. Erick, before we go, though, we have time for one last thing. And this particular one last thing this week comes to us from Spain. Has to do with a 4.8-pound wheel of blue cheese that sold at auction recently there to a restaurant owner in Spain for, get this, a little over $32,000, Eric. By my reckoning, that's $422 an ounce for this blue cheese here. And by the way, that shatters the previous record. There was a similarly sized wheel of blue cheese that sold for a mere $22,000 in 2019. We're getting up there over $32,000 now. I would say, Eric, you want to choose your cracker carefully if you're going to put a 422-ounce bit of blue cheese on top of it.
And which wine do you choose to complement that, right? It can't just be any wine. It's got to be up to the level of that experience. What, boy, I tell you, Rich, the things that people spend money on.
Yeah, well, and maybe the answer to your question is a $32,000 bottle of wine. Go for it. Make it a $64,000 appetizer plate. Well, folks, that is all the time we have this week. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be back again next week with another episode. You can find us on video at YouTube. You can get the audio-only version of this podcast at Google, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, pretty much anywhere else you get your podcast. Go out and look for us. And when you find us at any of those destinations, please rate and review. It's a very young show. This is really going to help other people out there who will benefit from it discover the show. You can learn more about Channel Mastered at www.channelmastered.com. That is one word. If you are curious to check out my blog, my SMB channel blog, it's called Channelholic. That's available at www.channelholic.news. Thanks very much to Russ Johns, our producer here. You can learn more about him at russjohns.com. Once again, folks, we're going to be back again next week. Thank you so much for joining us until then. Please remember, you can't spell channel without MSP.